we make progress in the negotiations, so there will be no need for international troops. Premature withdrawal, will it have an impact or not? Certainly, we are not oblivious to the realities on the ground, but it will not lead to one side prevailing over the other. It will have consequences. There is no doubt about it.
For more on this, we're joined by Torek Farhadi. He's a former advisor to the Afghan government. Mr. Farhadi, it's a pleasure having you on. Thank you for being here on TRT World. One of the conditions of the US-Taliban agreement, of course, includes American troops leaving Afghanistan. I mean, it seems, though, like a tight-rope balancing act, deciding the exact moment that could happen.
Yes. In fact, this tweet by President Donald Trump tips the balance in the favor of Taliban, in fact. Why? Because the war also has a psychological side to it. And the Taliban have been telling their troops, see, we are winning, and the superpower is pushed out. The superpower is booted out. So when such a tweet comes in, it confirms what the Taliban have been telling their troops, you're winning the war. So in that sense, it tips the balance in favor of the Taliban psychologically. Also, peace talks are ongoing right now in Doha, and the negotiators who thought, okay, we could take a little bit of time to negotiate every topic, see that time is a limited commodity. For Donald Trump, time is a limited commodity because there's an election in play. President Trump is a man who left the hospital 3 days after COVID. So he doesn't have any time to waste between now and the day of the election. He wants to make sure that every promise that he has made to the American people regarding finishing wars abroad are met. So this is the sense of his tweet. But then a few hours before him, his national security advisor has said we will bring down the troops to 2,500. So in fact, the Americans are not leaving entirely. In the language of election and tweeting, he has said everybody will come home by Christmas, but Christmas happens to be 1 month and a half after November 3rd. So he can say that. But in reality, logistically, it's impossible for the Americans to leave all of them by Christmas. It's very difficult. That's one point. It creates an embarrassment for his diplomats because his senior diplomat keeps saying that America's withdrawal is conditions-based on the fact that Taliban cut their ties with Al-qaeda, and that will be verified before May 2021. So when the president says we're leaving by Christmas, the whole narrative of conditions-based also evaporates. So that's the situation.
I have a question for you, but firstly, it sounds as though you're saying that President Donald Trump is rushing this ahead of the election, possibly to a fault. Do you think May 2021 is too early on target for peace talks and, of course, for a total U.S. troop withdrawal?
May 2021 is fine because now everybody knows it. It's 6-7 months from now.
But is it realistic?
It is realistic, yes. At that point, there is enough time logistically to withdraw the troops. There's enough time for the Afghans to take their responsibility in provinces. 80% of military operations are already conducted by the Afghan army because of COVID, because of the low number of troops in Afghanistan. Really, the Americans do not participate in every military operation. They participate in very few operations, on air operations. They support Afghans.
Right.
They advise. But,
Mr. Farhadi, earlier you spoke of a psychological war. How are relations now between the Taliban and the Afghan government? Have they improved, or is there still a lot of distrust? I mean, it was only this year the Taliban agreed to include the government at all in any peace negotiations. I mean, what are the actual ramifications of an early American troop withdrawal in Afghanistan?
The actual ramifications of the troop withdrawal in Afghanistan is that Afghanistan's neighbors suddenly will get a stronger hand in Afghanistan, because right now they're dissuaded by the American presence. And part of Afghanistan's instability also relates to its relations with neighbors, of course. But we have to go towards a ceasefire between now and May 2021. That would be the ideal situation. So when the troops withdraw, we have already reached some sort of a peace or a hybrid ceasefire, meaning that hybrid ceasefire would mean that in some areas, at least, there would be ceasefire. There would be an agreement not to attack the cities. As the Americans agreed with the Taliban not to attack the Americans on February 29th, the agreement you mentioned, the Afghan Republic needs to agree with the Taliban that they should not attack the cities. That would be the hybrid ceasefire. And then outside the cities, there will be still violence, but the best option for Afghanistan is to reach peace. And that's something the country needs, and that's something the people require from their leaders on both sides.
Mr. Farhadi, an absolute pleasure getting your perspective. Thank you for that. We appreciate it.